Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you must negotiate. Do not accept this at face value.
I think a lot of times women are better negotiators. Not always, though. Hey, wasn't that a wonderful little spot on Setsing?
I love Setsing's works. I think that he's become such a master, and it's just been amazing to see his development over the years.
Yeah.
It feels like very colorful and refined now.
He's got an amazing sense of color, and he's just one of our great students. Been with us for about 10 years, I think, 8-10 years.
And he not only has style in his paintings, but he has style in his dress too. Style, as they say here in Cambodia.
He's a great singer also. All right, what were we going to talk about today?
So today, we're actually going to be talking about your trip to Jerusalem.
Okay.
I believe it's called the Wailing Wall, which
Wailing Wall story?
I'm very keen on why you call it the Wailing Wall. I think I know that you're poetic, but you know,
Oh, you don't?
we need to circle back around and figure out why you call it the Wailing Wall, because
Well, for you out there, you can Google Wailing Wall, and it's just not my terminology.
oh.
It's a very famous. It's supposed to be the most famous place in Judaism, the Wailing Wall.
Oh wow, it's interesting because I don't think many people have heard of it.
Well, I think you have to be kind of knowledgeable about Jerusalem and Israel and maybe Judaism, and so it's anyhow. I was fortunate enough once to go there, and the reason I was there was for business with the old family business, and it was a trip for training a distributor in Tel Aviv, and I have to admit that at the time, this was probably about 10 years ago, there were, instances of mortar fire going off, and there was conflagrations in Israel, which is pretty much almost every day at one level. So I embarrassed myself by asking our Israeli distributors if they would have a bulletproof vest waiting for me.
Oh wow!
When I got there.
Hey, it's a valid question.
Well, they laughed and then they explained how the news out of Israel is always exaggerated. Not always, but most of the time. So I was there in Israel training distributors. A distributor who's one of our biggest distributors in let's call it the European theater. And on a weekend, I stayed over a weekend, and I took a trip to, it was kind of a guided tour on a bus with about 15-20 people, and we went to Jerusalem. Spent a day in Jerusalem.
Just one day, huh?
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's such an interesting city. I would love to go back and spend like 2 or 3 days. Let's talk about the Jerusalem and the Wailing Wall.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
How you doing, Bill?
Hey.
Hey.
Great. I feel good.
I feel good too.
Didn't sleep tons last night, but I got up this morning and
Yeah, but this coffee from Noi here in Siem Reap is just hitting it out of the park,
yeah, this is like my
Chill moi.
Chill moi.
All right, let's talk about the Wailing Wall. So,
Well, before the Wailing
set
Wall.
scene. You're entering into Jerusalem for a day.
Okay. The first thing that was surprising to me driving into Jerusalem, but let me talk about our guide.
Mm-hmm.
And this is some kind of nuance of, let's just say, what's going on over in the Middle East and what's going on even in Israel, is that our guide, let's call him Jacob, was an extremely cynical, sarcastic guy.
Oh, wow.
And he never missed an opportunity to kind of put a little twist and throw some mud at Jesus.
Throw some shade.
He was tossing little negative vibes about Jesus.
On Jesus specifically. He's just throwing shade at Jesus for...
It just seems like the Jewish people they're not big believers in, well, I guess they believe in the Old Testament, and much of the philosophies and the teachings of Christianity are in the New Testament. But this guy, it was just kind of like anytime he had the chance, he would put down Jesus and how Jesus was overrated, and he was kind of a.
Can you give me an example of something that he said about Jesus?
I can't think of one right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's been 10 years. So anyhow, we're driving, and you drive through just kind of a barren desert for it seems like about 45 minutes, an hour, or something to that effect, and then you start coming into Jerusalem. And I was very marked by the amazing architecture. A lot of very modern buildings are on the outskirts and in the beginning into the city before you get to the old city of Jerusalem. It seems like a lot of the world's most famous architects, like Marina Bay Sands, the Triple Towers in Singapore, they were designed by famous Jewish architects. And so there's a lot of them around the world, and most of them have tried to have at least one building that they've designed in Jerusalem. It seems to be a feather in their cap to be able to do that.
Oh, that's really cool.
With Jacob, we went in our bus, and we're traveling into Jerusalem, and we're stopping and we're taking a look at the old sites. We went to the tomb where Jesus was first buried, and then the rock was pulled aside, and that oddly enough was taken care of.
Well, I'm surprised that he brought you there if he was so against Jesus.
Well, that's what he was there to do.
Oh,
so he's
okay.
there basically
Wow.
generally taking Christians from the Western world into Jerusalem, but he has to throw in his little barb. And I gather he's not the only one in Israel with sort of an axe to grind about Jesus. So the thing that was so cool to me is the history of Jerusalem. There's only one other place I've been to in the world that has so much varied influences from, let's say, conquering empires that have come in and played a role in ruling Jerusalem, and I guess much of that part of the world. So we're going to talk about the Byzantine Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, the Egyptians. There's 5 or 6 different empires over the generations that have controlled and ruled for several hundred years Jerusalem. And so you have that
Sounds
influence.
like a lot of tension is what's going on.
Well, yeah, that is I think, as we all know, one of the most tense parts of the world.
And I'm sure undoubtedly that creates for the most beautiful architecture and artistic landscape as well, all those influences.
It's an ancient city that I understand has been burned and torn down and conquered numerous times.
Wow.
Like when you follow the trail of Jesus where he was carrying the cross, dragging the cross, it was basically stated to us that nobody really kind of knows today exactly where that trek was, but they've set one up so you can follow that path. And in that same part of town, the really ancient part of town where the typical street is about this wide, you will come to this courtyard area, and it's very crowded, and that's where the tomb is. It's very fascinating. And it's one of the few places I've been to that I would say I really got to come back here and spend several nights and just wander around and discover. There's so much shopping to be done there, buying artifacts from all the different conquerors over the years. Well, at the tomb and in that part of Jerusalem, I just started to notice, and it was kind of dumbfounding to me that there were so many of what I would call the most dishonest hawkers and salespeople trying to sell me little crosses, special ointments and pieces of sand, and also some items of clothing.
Did you buy some ointment?
I try to buy ointments everywhere I go.
Yeah, I know.
I have very scaly skin. Lotions and ointments.
Love it. Well, that's really interesting because I feel like in most religious places in the world, and it's very clear here in Southeast Asia as well, there's a dark underbelly, right? these religious sites or these, because there is, people want to, I guess in some ways, make money and capitalize on the religion, and
they're making money off of tourists is what it amounts to. They could care less.
And I don't blame any culture for that, because they got to do what they got to do, especially when you're down on your luck, So it's like, why not harness the religion? Why not harness the desires and the wants of these people coming in? It's unfortunate that they're so like scammy, though.
I was very surprised. I thought I was in the holiest place, one of the most holy places on the planet, and I'm having to kind of watch everything I do, because there were people after my wallet. But one thing that I found very tricky. Now, when you're in Jerusalem and when you're in Israel, you're good. Basically, you could be potentially buying whatever you're buying in euro, you could be buying it in US dollars, or you can be buying it in the local shekels, okay? And between a shekel and a dollar, I think it's like 7 to 1 or something. So, but when you go into a store, it's gonna just have a number. And it won't be, this is 15 shekels,
right.
It'll just have 15. So depending on who you are and who's running the store at that time, they might pick, oh, that's euro. Oh, no, for you, sure, that's a shekel, sir, that's a shekel. So they were manipulating it, and it was in all the stores. It wasn't like just 1 or 2.
Wow.
So that was another attempt, I thought, at people trying to take potentially advantage of you, or go after those who didn't seem very knowledgeable on how things work in Jerusalem.
Yeah. So it seems like you're setting this framework, like even the guide had this, kind of like ill will temperament, and then these hawkers are just trying to, get your cash, and I think when we think of Jerusalem, it's like obviously just like a very spiritual, holy land, a place where people go for pilgrimage and to feel good and to repent and to weep. And then there's these people, yes.
You're weeping because your wallet's been emptied.
Yeah, you're weeping, man. You're weeping. You're weeping because the ointment made you break out the rash, dude.
I couldn't get enough lotions and ointments. All right, so I was sent on a mission. My wife at the time had a Christian group that she spent a lot of time with. They're doing Bible study and so forth. And Bill's going to Jerusalem. And so they wanted me to get, it was some kind of a special cloth that goes over the shoulder, and it's a very holy thing. And all of the ladies asked if I would buy, like 20 of these.
Wow.
For the group. So I found a store that was selling these, and I went in, and I mean, it looked like something that probably, because it was very nice embroidery and shiny colors, and it looked pretty well made, but it didn't look like to me it should be worth more than $20 each. And I think I might even been told that that's about what the price for these things is. So I go into this store, and I'm literally on the trail of where Jesus was supposedly dragging the cross. It's a very holy section of Jerusalem. And I go into this store, and I find one hanging on the rack, and they said, no, sir, that will be $200 each.
Oh no!
And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, excuse me, I think I'll move on down the road. And the guy's like, okay. What about 150? What about 150? And I'm like, I've really kind of been told that a better price, or a realistic price, might be something more like $20. And this guy's like, oh, that's horrific. Who would tell you that? These things they're made with some of the most skilled embroiderers in all of the region. All right, for you especially, I'll give it to you for $100. And I'm like, I'm gonna just mosey on down the road. And so I did. I left, and the guy was almost like grabbing me by my shirt to keep me in there. And so I started walking down the road, and he's barking, okay, 50. Okay, all right, 40.
Oh my God.
Finally, he It's the $20. I'm about 100 meters down.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you must negotiate. Do not accept this at face value. This is classic, from 200 to 20.
And I went back with my money and I bought 20 of these.
You're like, yeah, bro, I told you. And I still think 20 is too much.
Well, no, they were pretty nice. They were pretty nice, but 20 I was told was the price. And I tell you what, I was not planning it. I was, yeah. I think a lot of times women are better negotiators. Not always, though. So that was, that was part of the contradictory sort of nature and the puzzle and the beauty of one of the holiest, if not most interesting places on the planet, Jerusalem. And like I said, I would really like to go back there.
It sounds exciting. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. I got some free tickets.
I'm like, this sounds like a cool place. I just love any place that has this kind of like smoky intrigue with like a melting pot of cultures, but not so much the lack of safety.
That's Jerusalem. I think I don't think you're physically at harm there.
Right.
You just got to watch your wallet. But it's the first place I've ever had pomegranate juice.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I had some in Thailand.
Big pomegranates.
There's nothing like the beauty of how it looks, like that ruby red color. You just feel like you're ingesting pure gold. I don't know, there's something about it.
So tasty and so naturally sweet.
Ooh, okay.
There was no additives at all. They just churn it all up. And
you know who's naturally sweet? Sat Singh.
You're right. Why don't we tune in on what Sat Singh's up to? Let's watch how he's developed and is going to become one of the greatest artists, I think, in all of Cambodia.
He really, really is. In fact,
not a stretch of a statement.
In fact, we've been having these weekly critiques at Colors of Cambodia, and we just had one last night, and his new piece is fiery. It's filled with peaches and oranges and reds.
It's beautiful. It's elegant.
It's so representative of Cambodia. So
actually, I think we have that in a video. Let's watch it.
Oh, nice. Roll that footage.
Hello, welcome to Color of Cambodia. Here is an art school that support for children, like teaching for free for local school. I am Sat Singh. I am a student here since 2017 until now, 17, and now I'm proved to be a teacher, like teaching here and also some other local school in Cambodia. And this is my painting, oil painting. This canvas, like a bit. This is one is huge more than others because I would like to draw. I would like to prove myself to be better. And this painting, with oil colors, and mostly I draw it like all the sculpture together, like you see. This is like flowers, shumen, and lotus also. And this copy like modern, and I mostly draw with it. And my favorite colors is about like colorful because it makes me more better to paint in it. And you can look around here. This is a lot of painting that drawn by all the students and teachers almost here. And anyway, thank you for Bill Chantry and all the supporters for support me and all the students some material for the art material and teaching for free. Thank you.
So yeah, Jerusalem is a fascinating place, but you do have to watch the hawkers and watch your wallet. But it's a safe place, I felt, as far as body harm type of things, and I would love to go back there and stay a few nights in a hotel. It just had such a very exotic, ancient vibe to it.
Ancient vibe, I like that.
Ancient vibe. And I tell many people who ask me what's your favorite place you've ever been to, I generally will say Istanbul, because it's just so varied, it's huge,
I've always wanted to go to Istanbul.
It is, I would say, the most ancient and diverse city as far as historical past that I've ever been to. Anyhow, Jerusalem is very similar, and they're not that far apart from each other. So anyhow, we finish this one section of going through ancient parts, the holy parts, some of the holy parts of Jerusalem, and we're going to go to a place that I really didn't know much about, called the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall. So we hop back in the bus, and it seems to me it was somewhat, seemed to be on the outskirts of town a little ways, not in the center of the city. Could be wrong, but that's how I remember it. And as we're driving on this bus, with the 20 of us or so, I hear these people talking and kind of shuffling with some paper, and they're talking about, doing something, inserting notes somewhere, something going on at the Wailing Wall. And I had no knowledge of anything like this.
So you didn't even know what the Wailing Wall was?
Really not. I knew it was. Occasionally you see pictures of it on TV about some kind of a episode happening, some kind of conflagration at the Wailing Wall. I mean, this is just happening over the years, but I really didn't know much about it. But you know anything about the Wailing Wall?
Well, I actually looked up 3 facts on the Wailing Wall, so let's go ahead and talk about these facts. No, I'm just kidding. Because I had no idea. I thought that Bill came up with the term Wailing Wall because there's several names for this wall. One is the Kotel Wall, Kotel. One is the Wailing Wall, and then it's also referred to as the Western Wall, and it's referred to as the Barak Wall. So there's actually 4 or 5 names. It's 488 meters long, constructed of these huge stones. And it's actually
big stones.
Yeah, and it was constructed, they think, by King Herod in 20 BCE, and it was built where the retaining wall of the Jewish temple once stood. So it is built on a temple mount, and it is kind of a confluence of the 3 religions. What were the 3 religions?
There's
Islam,
Christianity, and
Judaism.
and it's supposed to be the most holy of all.
Well, no, no, it's not. I looked it up. It's actually not the holiest site. I'm not sure which one it is, but they refer to it. They like to say that, but upon research, it may or may not. Isn't that just like according to whoever though? And then also, it's a place where Jewish people come to weep, to mourn. But the practice,
hence the name wailing.
The practice of the folded notes, of which Bill was finding out, is that these prayers or these calls to God or the universe or this higher being, if you place it within the crack of the wall, and we can cut this out later, but if you place it within the cracks of the wall, your prayer is said to ascend to heaven and be heard by your higher God. So I love that sentiment. I think that's so interesting.
It's extremely cool idea. So I'm on the bus. Thanks for the details of the past. I didn't know.
Yeah, King Herod, man, chopping it up.
Good old guy, King Herod.
Yeah.
So I am in the bus. I'm alone. I'm traveling alone on this weekend. But with a group in the bus, and I see all these people busying, gathering their little folded up notes, and I asked somebody, hey, what's going on here? What are you guys doing? And they said, well, everybody here, everybody knows this, sir, except for you, that you're supposed to write out a little message on a piece of paper and slip it into the cracks between these very big stones. So, and in there, your message to the universe, to the heavens, your prayer will hopefully be, returned to you. And so it's just what you do at the Wailing Wall. Well, I didn't know, so I grab my backpack. The bus stops in this large parking area, and I get my backpack and I make sure I have some pieces of paper and a pen, and we come across this large expanse which is below us, which is where the Wailing Wall is. So we walk around and we go down these steps, and it's all very, you know, yellow brown stone. There's not trees. It's quite simplistic, quite stark. And as we got down to the bottom of the steps, you start to come across many of these Hasidic Jewish people, where they've got these unique hats and this long hair and beards and these very stark, dark suits that they wear. And I almost get the feeling that's all they ever wear all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And at the bottom of the stairs, there was a kind of like a reading room. And I asked Jacob, our guide, what were they doing there? And he says they come here to study the ancient scriptures, the Jewish Hasidic people.
Oh, very cool.
So we come down to the large courtyard facing the Wailing Wall. And across the courtyard, there must have been 100 desks, like you would see in
100 desks?
100 desks.
Oh, I was picturing like 20 or something.
No. It was a large expanse of desks, and they were like school desks where the seat is attached to the table.
Love it. Memory.
So, I go up to the wall, I look around, I see what people are doing. You know, they're placing these little messages into the cracks. So I thought, I need to get involved in this. I have some messages to the universe and to the heavens that I want to offer.
Were there people crying?
Well, eventually, I think I was almost in tears about what happened. No, I saw nobody crying. It actually wasn't very busy. And that's possibly why what happened, because there wasn't anything else going on. But it just seems like one of these stories where no matter where I go, I will find trouble. And
I wonder why that is. I'm just kidding.
I'm a very innocuous guy. And
that's why I hang out with Bill so much.
Very positive being.
Trouble.
And yeah, if you want to find trouble, hang out with me. So I sit down on the table, pull out my notepad and my pen, and I start writing messages that I'm going to fold and put into the wall. Well, the next thing you know, some of these Hasidic Jews, they just come up and start screaming at me.
Whoa!
They're not screaming at me in English.
You're just writing at the desk?
I'm sitting at this desk.
Okay.
And, facing the wall. And suddenly there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hasidic Jewish guys coming in, and they're just screaming and yelling.
Whoa!
And I'm like, wow, what did I do?
Oh my God!
I don't even know what to. And I think one guy in kind of a broken English said, "You're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be writing anything in front of the Wailing Wall. You're supposed to have, if you're going to have anything and put it into the cracks, it has to be written beforehand."
Whoa.
And I'm like, well, what are all these tables for? They're these school tables. I mean, it looks like a perfect place to sit.
Yeah, that's what I would have done the same thing, literally.
Write out my message to the
crazy.
universe. But this screaming and this yelling, it doesn't go away, and I almost get the feeling I'm going to be hauled off.
Yeah, but are you continuing to write?
Well, no, I'm stopping.
So at this point,
I'm,
you're just
I'm,
like
I'm,
hands up.
I'm in the middle, and I've started what I think is going to be the next international incident.
Oh my God.
That's going to be on
It was like the guy in
news.
2007 that laid in front of the wall, by the way, naked, and then he got carted away to an insane asylum.
Really?
I'm surprised they didn't do that to you.
Well, I got saved. And so, but I don't know really what to do. Does it look like I'm going to be able to get my little message written out? I've got these people screaming, and then some of them are looking at books, and they're like finding passages in some holy book that are explaining why I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And then the next thing you know, in contrast to the Hasidic Jewish people, there's a Byzantine, Orthodox, maybe it was Armenian, but it was there's these robes that these Orthodox Christians wear, and there was a group of them also down at the base in front of the Wailing Wall, and they look so exotic, and they look so ancient, they look so foreign. And this guy comes up and and sort of pushes away the Jewish people who are screaming at me, and in perfect American English says, "You come with me."
Okay.
What you've done, there's nothing wrong with what you've done. It's just these people like to argue over everything and make a big scene over potentially nothing. So he says, you come with me. And he's got this long robe on, and it just seems so bizarre that he's speaking perfect American English. Turns out he was from an Orthodox church in Santa Rosa, California.
Oh, nice.
So he literally, is just whisking me away as quickly as he can, as these Hasidic Jews they're following and they're yelling and they're barking, and we go back and then we hit the stairs, and we're going to go up to the stairs, and they're going to escort me and get me on the bus, and hope that some kind of like Jewish.
Did you ever get your prayer to the wall?
No. Never got my prayer into the wall.
That's why, that explains everything.
It was yes, that's why things have been wrong ever since.
Oh, God.
No, so I got to the stairs, and he's whisking me up, and we'll go from there. Be careful if you go to the Wailing Wall.
Yeah.
So I think as I was talking with this, like the Byzantine Orthodox Santa Rosa American, that if I'd have put on the proper ointments before in the morning, it would have warded off.
Did you bring your ass ointment?
You borrowed it, don't you remember?
No.
Okay, so this guy is literally saving my life, and he's literally keeping me from being on international news as being this ridiculous American who's come out to the Wailing Wall and actually thinks he can write his message in front of the Wailing Wall. And so this guy's taking me up the stairs, and he's like, these guys, they'll argue about anything. They're always trying to make a scene. What you've done is nothing that you've done is wrong. And these stairs, there's like 300 steps, it seems like, going up to the top. He leads me up. We go on into the parking area. And at that time, I was ahead of everybody else, because everybody else, I guess, was doing their peaceful visit. Peaceful visit?
Peaceful visit.
Peaceful visit of the Wailing Wall. Not me at all. So I get up there, and Jacob is standing at the door to the bus. He's like, why are you back so early? And I said, you wouldn't believe it. I go down there, and I'm like, have broken some ancient, very serious rule of the Wailing Wall and the Hasidic Jewish people by writing my message down at those little school desks, which seems so natural, writing my message. And it turned into a situation where this good Orthodox rabbi helped save me, whisked me up here. Now I'm back, and I'm just going to sit here on the bus until the rest of the people come. And he's just shaking his head. He's just so happy to hear this bizarre story. And he sits down next to me on the bus, and he says, what you have just witnessed, Mr. Gentry, is why the Jewish people are the smartest people on the planet. Is because from a very young age, we just argue about everything, and we'll make a big scene about everything. We learn about debate, and that's why we're the smartest people on the planet. And I said, well,
interesting take.
I guess so. So, all that said, I would say for any of you out there, go to Jerusalem. It's one of the most really holy, spiritual, ancient, and fantastic cities I've ever been.
It sounds awesome. I'd still want to go. It's just a bummer that you didn't get your prayer answered. So, also, I just picture the rest of the people on this bus, like they have no idea what's going on. They're just they have their notes. They're all in their own little world, and you're just getting yelled at.
I don't remember any of them actually noticing what had happened, because
exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're off, and then you're just like surrounded by this like wildness and fury. And
if there's trouble somewhere, I can find it. So I found trouble at the Wailing Wall. I was almost an international incident, but all that being as interesting as it is, let's take a look at some more of footage on Set Sing.
All right, sounds
An interesting young man who is the future of Cambodia with all of his talent. And we love helping him and others in Cambodia to develop this innate talent that they have. So,
yeah, absolutely.
let's watch Satsang. Hey, and thank you, Julia, for joining.
Yeah, thank you for
Always
regaling
a
me with your
pleasure.
wild tales as usual.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Let's hear it for Julia. Julia,
Let's hear it for Bill, man.
Bye.
See ya.